Thank you for listening to the Following Films podcast. Today I'm joined by Jeremy Rudd to discuss Diced Reloaded. Seattle, Halloween night, 1987. Benny, an infamous serial killer, long thought contained, breaks free from a high-security asylum. Reborn behind a twisted scarecrow mask, as he leaves a trail of carnage across the suburbs. Whispers of his gruesome past resurface, fueling panic in a city soaked in neon and fear. But Benny isn't just killing for pleasure. He's hunting someone. A young woman unknowingly tied to the darkest chapter of his madness becomes his fixation. And the closer he gets, the bloodier it gets. Diced Reloaded delivers a brutal, synth-drenched slasher soaked in 80s nostalgia, where Benny carves his place in horror history, one body at a time. Today's episode of the Following Films podcast is brought to you by Google Workspace. We keep things running smoothly and efficiently at Following Films with the convenience of cloud-based Google Workspace programs. Google Docs lets you save on Google Drive. Hangouts lets you video chat. Gmail gives you a professional email, and Calendar lets you organize. From anywhere, at any time. You should try it and see how it can help your business too. Google Workspace is offering a 14-day trial. If you sign up using my link, I can give you a discount as well. And it helps to support the show. You can check the show notes for a direct link. Diced Reloaded will be available to rent or purchase on video on demand on Tuesday, August 12th. Now on to my conversation with Jeremy. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks. I had an unusual morning with this one because I watched your film, and then immediately afterwards I was working on a review of Vince Guaraldi's soundtrack. So I went from your film to a Peanuts soundtrack afterwards, listening to that. I don't know that that's necessarily the double feature that most people would look for.
Yeah.
But
Funny.
I had a great time with it, though. This is not for the faint of heart, though. This is definitely a film that that goes hard. Could you talk a little bit about where you draw the line with violence in the film?
That thought never crossed my mind about drawing the line anywhere. So, I mean, the gorier, the better. But as far as my thinking for kill scenes, I never thought, anything kind of draw the lines, but maybe there will be in the future. But as far as now, we just wanted to go big and gory as possible. So,
well, you definitely succeed in that. And it's something where to me, when I see extreme gore, there's a point where it's a roller coaster for me, where there's the initial shock, and then there's, it's still going, and it's going. Yep. And then at some point it becomes funny. And then you dwell a moment past that, and that's when it becomes shocking. So you go through this whole cycle, even in the opening sequence in this. Just think about, I don't want to give things away specifically, but there's a kill involving a head that goes on, so two kills involving heads, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, they go so much further than I would have thought. But there's a lot of it that's played with score. There's a lot of it that's played with sound. And so you do see things, but a lot of it is actually left to your imagination, and then you paint in what you were imagining for a moment. So it's interesting. You play things off camera and then also play with it by revealing it afterwards. It's almost like a magic trick to some degree, where you're playing with tension and release, I guess.
Yep, exactly. So that was the whole idea. We wanted to leave a little for imagination, but also, give the viewer a lot of that gore and, bloody, disgusting guts and gore and all that type of stuff. So yeah, there's a little bits of everything in there. So we just really want to execute on those kill scenes and, give the audience what they were looking for.
Is that what the audience is asking for from the first film to this? They're wanting to just amp that up to that next level that you would expect to see in a sequel?
Yeah, a lot of people like the gory kill scenes. They want these unique gory kill scenes. So we wanted to kind of think about our kill scenes in a way like that's never really been done in a way, or something that's unique to them. So we did a lot of brainstorming on that, and I think we were able to definitely execute on those.
And so how much time goes into the preparation for the
Hmm.
effects in this, and how much of this is digital and how much of this is practical? Because this feels mostly like a practical film. I don't have a great eye for it. There's plenty of times where
Yeah.
I think something is digital, but it's not, and vice versa.
Yeah, 80% of it's practical.
Okay.
And a little bit of post work, but 80% of it's practical. We want to give that. So that's why it took a little bit more time to, kind of really execute on it to make it more realistic. Because we didn't want to rush anything. We wanted to get the right angles, the right cuts, all the coverage we needed just to make sure we really executed on, especially the kill scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. For a film like this, you can tell that it's made with care, which is something
Yeah.
I wasn't honestly expecting. And I don't mean that as an insult, but a lot of these films, they feel thrown together. We'll put these kills in, and it's just there's some loose narrative tying it between. It actually,
Hmm.
this is a thought out film. Even quiet the way that you do costuming here. Clearly, there were conversations and thought that went into things beyond just the kill scenes.
Oh yeah, for sure. We had a good production team, uh, good people on staff. Everyone had an eye out, watching for continuity. Looking for certain thing we can improve. Oh, like for one example, one of the kills, the lady wasn't screaming loud enough. It didn't really should look realistic. Someone shouted that out. So, oh yeah, let's get her to really scream, really bring this out. Really start fighting and swinging her arms. How a real person would be in that situation. So, but yeah, so it was a lot of dialing things in on set as they were being filmed.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it was prep work as well.
And another thing that I would be remiss not to mention is the film has a definite sense of humor. So
Yeah.
that balance of that is that something um, you're thinking about that you're thoughtful of as far as balancing that, where the comedy isn't undercutting the thrills or the scarier moments in it, or I mean, they're often happening in the same scene. So how do you strike that balance between humor and horror?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, it's very difficult to kind of do in a lot of films. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
to come off as cheesy or fake or unrealistic, but you also want to put that, those little funny scenes in here, but also keep the tone and of the kills, of the seriousness of the film as well. So ultimately, I think we were able to do that with this one. And I wrote that into the script, like, certain things. I don't want to give too much away, but there's certain funny scenes that's purposely put in there at certain
Yeah.
areas, because that kind of ties into our villain, because our villain is, he has this childlike behavior, but he's this killer as well, because he's a mental patient, which he suffers from, childlike behaviors, and he thinks he's a kid, and he also is just this gruesome killer as well. So
There is an innocence in his performance that you can pick up on. I think it's not
yeah.
beyond the drawings and those kinds of things. There's a playfulness, I think, in the way that he
Hmm.
moves through the frame.
Yep, exactly. So I wanted to get this big, tall, like Jason, the guy who plays our
Mm-hmm.
villain, Benny. He's, big 6'4" guy, 200 plus
Yeah.
pounds. And we wanted to make him very playful, but also play into his tall, big, frame, and make him this gruesome killer as well.
And it's something that it's that something I think the taking those two elements of him, his size and then the childlike quality, and having those two
Hmm.
things that you might think of as being in opposition to one another existing in this one character just makes it a really unique take on the villain.
Yeah.
I was wondering though, when I first read about the film, it was when you hear there's an escaped mental patient on Halloween that was a serial killer. There's an immediate comparison that comes up. Were you nervous about it? Now, when I watch the film,
Hmm.
while there may be an inspiration in the outline sense of that, that goes away pretty much right away. But were you concerned about people thinking this is going to be a Halloween knockoff?
Oh no, not really, because I know I have Benny's totally different character than
Wildly different.
yeah, wildly different character. And we really try to dial in on his mannerisms, the way he swings, his when he kills or he walks, the way he kind of turns his head and all that type of stuff, and it looks and feels different than Michael Myers or any other villain like that. So, but yeah, there's this uniqueness we really tried to dial in when we were kind of filming this and when I was writing this.
Oh, well, it is 100% its own thing. It's just that in my mind, when I read that description, I was thinking, oh, okay, this is the direction they're kind of taking this. Maybe it'll be a little bit quieter, reserved version of this. And no, clearly that was not the intent here by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm wondering, though, have you had a chance to watch this with an audience yet?
Not the Reloaded one.
Okay.
But the original one I did with some family and friends, but I've never watched the Reloaded one with any family or anyone actually.
Really? Because I would be so curious to know how this would play in a room full of strangers that don't have any connection to you. Because I think I'm wondering if the things that I laugh at are the things that other people are laughing at as well. You have that internal fear to some degree that I might end up coming across as Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, where I'm laughing hilariously at something that is not funny by any stretch of the imagination. So I would love to see this one with an audience, though.
Oh yeah, same here. Yeah, I would love to see that as well.
And so, is this? It feels like there's a chance for this to continue. Are you thinking that you might want to continue with Benny and the further adventures of?
Yeah, definitely continue with Benny. I think we have definitely a unique character. I think the Scarecrow in general is very underutilized in the horror genre. And there's a lot of more story to be told here, especially with, Benny or our final girl, Cassandra.
There was that was one thing I did think of when I was watching this as far as Scarecrow horror films. There's a one from the 70s that was like a TV movie, like Darkness of the Scarecrow or something like that. I can't remember the exact title of it. There was that, and there was two of those, and then there's that bit in Jeepers Creepers. But beyond that, there's not a lot of that as a thing, which is really surprising because it goes right along with spooky season. I'm just shocked it's not something that's used all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I got the idea for a Scarecrow from the Jeepers Creepers one because that's one of the movies I watched as a kid I really liked. But I later found out I don't think he was a scarecrow. But I was like, I thought he was a scarecrow. But
I thought, well, he posed as one.
Yeah, he posed as one,
right?
Yeah, so that's where I got the idea from. I was like, I need to kind of bring this to the forefront in the horror genre. And then also, I didn't want him to wear a mask or anything. I wanted to kind of show his expression through, his facial expression. So I wanted him to, have that painted Scarecrow face on, and then have his whole outfit on. So
it is something allowing him to emote is really important here, because there's the blankness of a character is something that can add to the terror of it, but also just being able to see the eyes, I think, can do that as well. It can be effective in a wildly different way. So congratulations on the film, Jeremy. I think you got something really special here. I would not recommend this to the squeamish, but for people who like a horror movie that goes hard, I think that this is one that they'll have a good time with. I think this is definitely going to find its audience. So congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Hope to get to talk to you again, maybe on the next one, maybe on part 3.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thanks, man.
And I don't want to go home, not this time. You think the story gets old, but I don't mind. After all the things she said to me, after all I know she cares, but that night I was not alright. I've never been there, so I was quite scared. So friends, I miss my friends so. I miss my friends, I miss my friends so.
Hangovers?